What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Alright, so in this video I'm going to go over triceps. So if there's a body part that I feel I've improved the most as far as my bodybuilding journey so far, I would say the triceps is one of those areas. Now this is an area of my arm where I didn't have the best genetics, so the fact that I've developed it as much as I have is actually something that I'm very proud of. And so I'll be going over the main things that I've learned, the kind of golden tidbits, the exercises I used, and hopefully they help you do the same in your lifting journey as well to getting gigantic horseshoe triceps. But let's just get right into it. The first thing that I want to go over, and the most important factor when it comes to getting a truly aesthetic and nice looking tricep, is the long head. So if you don't know, the tricep has three heads. There's the lateral head, medial head, and then there is the long head. Now all of them are important for a full and well-developed tricep, but the most important one by far, I think, in my opinion, is the long head of the triceps. That is the largest portion of it, and it will also be the most visually impacting portion of it as well. From the side, the long head of the tricep plays the biggest role in making your arm just look very dense and girthy and have a nice little sweep to it. And in any pose you do where you contract the tricep, the long head is going to pop out and give it that dense look, give it that nice wide look as well. And just overall, it'll always be the most important factor when making your arm look jacked, because it just takes up so much space and it gives you so much bang for your buck. Anyway, so the long head is important. What do we do to train it? What do we do to develop it? To develop the long head of your tricep, it's pretty simple. You do any tricep extension variation where the arm is overhead. Now this is something people will kind of argue and say that it isn't necessary to have your arm over your head. But I think for the case of simplicity, we do just follow that route, because, you know, we can go into biomechanics, you can go into semantics and all these other things, but I believe that just keeping it fucking simple and hammering that home is going to be the most effective way to get your gains in this case, instead of worrying about where your pinky is, or if you're externally rotating, or if you're doing this or if you're doing that to properly engage and optimally hit the long head of the tricep or whatever. The three exercises that I used to get them to this point is the dumbbell overhead extension, unilateral. I'll put some footage on screen of either me doing it or somebody else doing it. But the dumbbell unilateral overhead extension, as well as the cable variation, so the same exact movement pattern but done with the cable. The next one is the overhead cable extension with the rope attachment. This one is great. You can do it in a couple different ways. You can do a version where you're more upright and kind of parallel to the stack, so you're closer to it as well. And this is good, but it doesn't allow for cheating much. It's more strict, and you'll get a nice even up and down kind of movement pattern with it. But if you want something where you can push to failure and then beyond and use some momentum to do some cheat reps, that looked a little sus. You can actually lean away from the stack, kind of hinging at the hips, and do it that way as well. And this way you can shake it up a little bit and get some momentum going, and you can get some cheat reps in, and you can do kind of like beyond failure sets. These are movements that actually are very they're favorites of Joffrey Verity Schofield, and he's actually the guy who kind of woke me up to the whole obsession with the long head of the triceps, because his triceps long head is fucking crazy, and I was like, damn, that is like wow, I would love to have that. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at the way that he trains, and he's always doing these, and clearly it's been paying off. So that is a exercise I highly recommend you try if you're not doing it already. Now, my personal favorite is the seated easy bar overhead extension, right? So imagine an easy bar in my hands. I'll have footage on screen for you guys to see, but you can literally see without even any weight, like me doing this, you can see the long head of the tricep, how engaged it is, right? Look at that. I love that movement. So the reason why it's so good in my opinion doing it with the easy bar is if you're somebody who has achy wrists like me, this movement pattern is essentially a French press. And so a French press you would typically do with the dumbbell, which I love as well. But the problem with the French press for me is that it hurts my wrists getting into that position, and so I don't like doing it. The easy bar gets rid of that problem altogether and allows you to load the movement seamlessly because it is an easy bar, which is plate loadable, and then you can get micro plates and you can increase in increments of 3 pounds, which just makes it so much easier to progressively overload on this movement safely without making like 5-10 pound jumps and potentially like aggravating your elbows. And that's another thing I need to go over. These movements are great, you guys, but they are pretty harsh on the elbow. They are not the most elbow friendly movements. So if you're somebody who already has, not the best elbows and you already have, the problems with it, maybe you have, tennis elbow, or what's the other one, golfer's elbow, either one of those, do not do these movements as your first exercise in the session. These are movements you want to do when your elbows are already warmed up. Me personally, I have very strong elbows, and so it doesn't really matter. I can just simply, go right into these and do some warm-up sets and I'm good. But most people, I understand, achy elbows is pretty common. So if you are one of those people with achier elbows, do this as your second exercise. Do not start off with these. I highly recommend you do an arm day as well, where you incorporate these movements so you can really give them the love and attention that they need to really see worthwhile results. So if you incorporate these exercises, honestly, the long head of the triceps is a very simple muscle, and hitting it is also pretty simple. So there's not exactly that many exercises I can prescribe. I mean, there's some runner-ups, you could do skull crushers, but I don't really like those. You could do, what else is there? I mentioned the French press, so that's another one. There's the dual rope push down that Alex Leonidas has been really pushing recently, where you have 2 rope attachments, you're doing this, and it's aligned with the fibers of your long head, like externally rotating. It's like the biomechanic shit I was talking about earlier. I'm sure, yeah, it's great, I'm sure, but I don't have to worry about all these other things while I'm doing a basic isolation movement, so I'd rather just do something as like intuitive and simple as like overhead, you know what I mean? So that's how you develop the triceps long head. And it's a triceps video, so I might as well talk about other movements for other portions of the triceps if you want full development. If you're somebody who wants a larger lateral head, and that's that front one here, the one that's really kind of like most notorious when it comes to the horseshoe look, right? If you want to develop this, you can do movements that are as simple as the basic triceps press down, right? Rope attachment. You could use the W bar, which is my favorite one. This will come down to your personal preference, but you could do those. Those will hit the lateral head really well. One of my favorites, and the one that I would recommend as well if you're somebody who cares about carryover to your compound lifts, is the JM press. Now this is not a beginner friendly movement. I do not recommend you do this if you've been training for anything under 2 years, because your elbows are going to need to have some tissue capacity. They're going to need to be able to handle that awkward angle, because you do come down with a lot of weight and it is pretty harsh on your elbow. So don't do the JM press, if you're, benching goddamn less than 225. Even if you're benching less than 275, I don't recommend you do the JM press. You gotta give it some time before that movement is actually beneficial for you. So that's another one, very good, but you're gonna have to wait on that one. Don't incorporate that immediately. The next one would be the basic close grip bench press. You know, there's a little bit of contention about that recently. People are saying that it doesn't train your triceps really all that well. It's actually more chest activation than anything, yada yada. I don't know about you guys, but when I do a close grip bench press, I feel it in my triceps quite a fucking bit. So definitely that's another movement you can apply for increasing the lateral head of your triceps. And then as well as that, you can do unilateral press downs with the little attachment that the cable has. You could do pretty much any tricep movement that doesn't involve it being overhead, because it's the lateral head of your triceps is really gluttonous. It's always getting hit. But you know, all this information and all these exercises, they're nice and all of that, but in truth, none of it's gonna actually do much for you if you don't take care of the one main and most important factor here, guys, and that's sticking to them. Okay, you don't want to just throw these movements in for a week or two and then, you know, fucking forget about them, throw them out, swap them for the next one or whatever. You have to get strong at these movements, okay? So I'm at a point now where I'm doing overhead extensions with a rope attachment. I'm doing 65 pounds for sets of, you know, 12. And when I started, I was barely doing like, you know, 40. And that's 20 pounds added to an isolation lift. That goes a long goddamn way. And the long head of my triceps, like you can literally see, it's come a long way too. My arms are approaching 17 inches, you guys, and that's because of the long head of my triceps. Okay? There's a lot of size potential there a lot of people aren't taking advantage of. But you have to stay consistent and dedicated to these movements and get strong at them to reap the rewards and benefits that you're gonna wanna see. So I'm just letting you guys know that right now. Don't tell me my methods are ineffective or the things I'm saying aren't true if you aren't actually applying these movements and giving them the time and energy they need to show you the fucking results. Be consistent, be patient. Simple as that, and then you'll reap the rewards. Yeah, I think that's about it for this video. What's a good way to incorporate these? I would always say that if you're doing an upper lower split like me, you throw these in at the end of the workout when your elbows are warm and there's some blood going in there. And as well, an arm day. Simple as that, dude. If you want fully developed arms, as developed as they could be, sorry, I'm a little phlegmy, you're definitely going to want an arm day. But yeah. Thanks for watching all the way if you have. I doubt you have. But like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. And I am going to go away and continue to get jacked. So, bye.